Mind naturally thinks. Whatever comes up in mind is created by the mind. So we don't need to. And even if we try to stop the thoughts, where are they going to go to? They're already in mind. They don't go out. Even if they went out of mind, out of the consciousness, they still are part of mind. Even if they're in the past, they're still part of mind. So we see things differently. And when I talked about turning the mind's eye inward, it means that you no longer think in a way of a human being, but you use mind as the mind, which is your original mind, which is truly what's there. But because we have hidden it um, through so many obstructions, we believe now that the ego is thinking. The ego doesn't think. The ego is a projection in mind. We don't understand that. Mind never leaves, okay? It never abandons. It's never been born. And so when we practice and we sitting there and we want to get this true mind, we cannot do it. It's like a puppet, trying to become real. It can't. It is not permanent. And nor you as an individual can you come back as real. You're just a dream. And so when you see things in this way, you understand that it is the the ego that is trying to escape, but it doesn't work that way. Eventually, if you practice in this way, you can get there, but it may take you a lot longer. One of the things in terms of right view Chan is this idea that in right view Chan that just this mind is the Buddha mind. So when we sit to meditate, the most important thing for you to understand is that it is mind that is sitting, mind that's resting. So just like we started this, some of you were sitting before we actually started, and it's just resting the mind. And the mind is there. If it has a method, then essentially what's happening is that the mind sits, not you. Don't conjure up images or mental impressions of you doing anything. You are an illusion. And so the faster you begin to abandon the idea of the I, me, mine of the ego, the faster the progress will be in the practice. This is what Master Han Shan referred to as the shortcut. Now, if you're going to go somewhere, and they go, how do you get to California? Well, you can go down south till you get to Florida and make a right, and then go through Texas and then make a right and go through Oklahoma, and then go forward to Arizona and then up around, and then you can when you get to the top of the country, then head towards California. You go, wow, that's a lot of traveling. Or you can just go directly to that. It's right there. It's immediate. Just put your mind on California and you're there. Voila. This is the shortcut. Who would want to go the other way once knowing the shortcut, right? Would you go like, why would I do that? When I can just be there right now. Think about this, because when you're sitting and you are watching the method, the ego is clouding the mind. It can't see around you. Your big fat head is, well, some of you have skinny heads, but your head is there keeping you from being able to see around it. But that which you perceive to be you watching the method is actually a projection on mind. You're a dream. You're a projection. You are not real. You're only real in the sense that you appear in mind. But when we simply let the mind rest in the present moment, the mind then observes a projection on mind. What is the projection that it observes and holds? The method. So, whatever method that you use, that method is, is what you keep in the consciousness. It's mind's consciousness, not your consciousness, mind's consciousness. So, the mind is simply looking at something projected on the mind. And you go, well, does that make two minds? One that's seen and one that is has this projection on it? No, it isn't. This mind's own essence, it is as if you're looking at your hand. Does that make two hands, one in mind and this one mind here? No, it sees clearly that this is my body. So I see that. Mind looks at everything and says, that's my body. How would it not know its own body, right? You go, where did this hand come from? I don't know. Find it up. Oh my God, it's my own body. I I thought it was somebody else's body. That would be foolishness. But when we sit within mind, it's the mind's body. There is not two, not even one. It is where the one returns to, just mind. I know this is difficult, especially on the first hearing. But when you see it in this way, you understand you are a projection in mind. All of this room is a projection in mind. Where else would this be seen? Think about this. Think about this very carefully. Where is this happening? This very moment right now. Where is it happening? Is there a place that this is happening? Like, really try to wake up, like, shake yourself awake. Where is this? How did it come? Where did it come from? Is there a place, that samsara, that's floating in space? And what is that space? It's mind. And we believe this world to be so vast and great. And it's just the same as a little tiny grain of sand. But we think it's so big. We don't even understand how infinitesimally small it is in comparison to mind. So when we sit, we let mind be the true domain. We restore the perspective through the perception of mind itself. And using this mind perception, it's easy. It's just rest. It doesn't have to pay attention to this grain of sand there and coming up with all these different mental impressions and sufferings and clinging. I'm hungry, my legs hurt, I'm sleepy, I have too many thoughts, whatever it is. Just let it go by. It has nothing to do with you. In this moment, it has no function, no purpose. Just rest the mind. And all these things will come up and pass by. It's like when you're traveling on a train and you look out the window and you see everything go by so quickly. You don't have to cling to any of those things that went by. They went by so quickly. You just sit. It has nothing to do with you. Whatever is happening out the window, it has nothing to do with you. You're just simply stable there. And mind is aware. It doesn't mean it's not aware of thoughts that are arising, but it gives them its due attention, which is when the mind is very much at rest, it's called equanimity or equipoise. All mental formations that arise in the mind have an equal value. They have the value of mind. Not bad. So we don't have to rush out to meet it and say, hi, I'm Gilbert, I'm here to cause trouble. Why would I want to keep you? You're just a mental projection. Just go back and be projected on there. Don't try to be an imposter as trying to play like you're my real mind. It isn't in this way. Mind is just mind. Now you've restored the proper perspective, and whatever's appearing there, all these mental impressions that are coming up are seen as projections. When you go home, the mind that you take home is the mind you were born with. But all of those projections of leg pain or whatever it is, they're gone. Why? Because they were just a projection. If they were permanent and real, they would always be with you. And I'll show you how that works. It's very, very simple. You go to a store to buy ice cream, and this is a mind ice cream store. And this is the erroneous projections. And it says, what kind do you want? I want a vanilla ice cream. Okay. And then you look at the menu and it has strawberry. Oh, wait a minute. I changed my mind. I will have strawberry. No. No what? No, you can't have strawberry. Why can't I have strawberry? Because, if your mind is real, you can only make one choice. You already made it, vanilla. So the rest of eternity, that's all you will get is vanilla ice cream. But that's not what I intended. Well, that's what happened. So if everything is real, then you could never change your mind. But how many times a day do you change your mind? If it's real, then it can't change. It's static, it's there. So when we see things in the right way, it's okay. Next time you go into the store, don't worry about if you order vanilla, you can't order strawberry the next time. Okay? Because mind is fluid in this way. But we don't understand that. When we then no longer take this temporary mental impressions and desires as to be real, then we can change. If we couldn't change, there'd be no reason for me to be talking to you because you would be perpetually in a state of ignorance. But you have the ability to change. That's why I'm here. This is called awakening. It's very simple. I know some of you are going, oh, this is making my mind dizzy. No, it's making your ego dizzy because it's undermining the credibility of your ego. So now you're on shaky ground. The you in this. Mind is stable. Not bad. So when you sit, you just let the mind look into mind. Now, as I'm looking at you, I'm looking into mind. What do I see? Projections. What else do I see? The Buddha mind. Each one of you possess Buddha mind. So I see you all as Buddhas, but stuck in these projections. You're trapped here, but you can easily release. How do you release? You look into it to see the source of everything, and you see the source of everything is mind itself. So when you sit to meditate, everything that moves is a projection. Just let it go by. You don't have to throw it out. You don't have to bring mind in. The very mind that you're using is mind. It's simple. You already have it. I want to win the lottery. You already won. You already won. What is lacking in this very moment? This mind that you're using is a Buddha mind. What is lacking? This is good news. So when you need to use it, use it. When you don't need to use it, don't use it. So when you sit to meditate, you just look at your method. If it's silent illumination, you just are aware of the environment. There's an awareness there. And you continually do this. You concentrate on the method, concentrate, if it's elimination, on the present moment. You contemplate this. Contemplation means you don't think about it. Contemplation is just letting it be naturally manifesting, naturally being presented. Just concentrate on it. And then we seeing it, and it has to be continuous. Don't jump and let the ego take over. It's like you and the mind is just simply sitting, no place to go. But then the monkey comes in, pushes you out of the way. I want to drive, and it's taking you this way and that way. No, when that happens, just come back to mind, and the monkey will be seen as a projection. They talk about this as monkey mind. The mind will just simply see it as a projection. So this is how you do that. I got a little bit of time left. So I want you just to meditate now. You put your right hand on the bottom, left hand, place it on your lap, and simply follow along in the instruction. You rest the body. Let the body become very, very supple, very calm. Then you scan your body from the top of your head down. You relax your forehead. Relax the eyes so there's no tension in the eyes. Relax the nasal passages. The mouth is lightly closed with the tongue touching the top of the roof of the mouth in the front, right behind your teeth. Or it can go all the way to the roof of your mouth. Lightly touching. The jaw's relaxed. The neck muscles are all relaxed, and you feel this pouring of relaxation down the top of your shoulders into your upper back. Breathing in this relaxation, your lungs are relaxed. Coming to your heart is relaxed. To the middle of your back, and you begin to adjust your spine so your back is straight, putting less pressure on your body. All of your middle abdomen is all relaxed, liver, spleen, gallbladder, all relaxed. Relax your lower back. Around your kidneys, relax. Through your intestines, your pelvis, your reproductive organs, and bladder, all relaxed. Your arms all the way to your fingertips are relaxed. Down your thighs, knees, calf muscles, ankles, feet, down to your toes. Your body is entirely relaxed. Your mind is relaxed. Just mind sitting. No thought. Looking at the method. If the method is sun illumination, it's just sitting. Your body begins to adjust and straighten. The muscles are not fighting against each other, just simply balanced in this moment. The breath naturally extends with this relaxation, simply in the present moment. If thoughts arise, let them go out. The mind should not be engaged in thought. It doesn't prevent thought, it doesn't attach to it. If thoughts are generated, this is natural. Let them go by as if they were some helium balloon just floating away, not staying in mind, just going by. Mind looking into mind like an infinite mirror, one mirror facing another mirror. Into any mental impressions are projections, even if they're good impressions. Let them go. Let the mind rest. There's nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to feel. One mirror facing another mirror. One mirror facing another. Body and mind relax. No thinking. No thinking. Just mind. Mind sitting, yet illuminated, aware of what's coming in, but no thought. Let it pass by. Not attaching. Relaxed. As you come out of this, don't come out of mind. Keep the mind still and quiet. Maintain the function of mind. Your function of mind now is to listen. Keep the mind quiet. This is how you should feel when meditating. It's special. Hopefully you can feel the difference in right view meditation. This is how you meditate. You do not meditate. Mind meditates. Feel how quiet it is in the room. It's like a pure land. Because everybody's mind is there contributing to this quietness. Pretty good. Okay, we're going to open it up for questions that you have. So anybody who has questions, now is the time for you to ask your questions. Please don't be shy. There's nothing that is considered a stupid question or that please. So in the back, you have to speak loud because you don't have a microphone.
So, Gilbert, thank you very much.
Oh,
Great respect.
Speaking to.
So my question is, you said everybody's mind, right? So does that mean like one each one of us has a mind, or does it mean we're all connecting to the one mind when we're meditating?
We talk about ekayana. So his question was, is that we're talking about mind, and is it like everybody's mind, or is it one mind? It is one mind. There is no particular flavor to the mind. It's all flavors. And so when we see this, we understand that all of us intrinsically have the same mind. It is not called by our name. Our ego takes on a name, but the ego is only a projection. It is an appearance in mind, created by mind. When we understand this, then this is called right view and enables us to turn the mind's eye inward. Turning it inward, then we see everything as a projection. We see everything as a dream. This is called awakening. And so there's many, many levels of awakening, but the first awakening is to understand that just this mind is the Buddha. Okay. Anything else?
Not yet.
Okay.
Um,
There's a question over here.
Hey, Gilbert. Yeah, it's really inspiring. I think
You have to speak
meditation.
louder. The
Oh.
microphone's for the
Hello?
recording.
Hello? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's my first meditation. I felt the stillness, the stop of time, just so I guess my question is, you mentioned rest your mind. What do you mean by that?
Okay,
Like,
so
is that a common sense of rest? Like, what is rest? Is a verb, I wonder if you could.
okay.
Yeah.
Your question is a good question. Her question is that I mentioned that there is to rest your mind, and she says, "What does this mean to rest the mind?" It means that the mind is no longer inverted and thinking. That thinking is the mind itself. Thinking is a production of the ignorance of the mind. And thinking is something that perpetuates the idea of an ego, a personality, life, or being, as stated in the Diamond Sutra. But when we rest the mind is not attaching to anything. It's perfectly functioning and responding to you. So with a rested mind, then this body can respond to you following function of trying to bring to you an understanding of this. So it doesn't think, oh, you're speaking sagacious or wise, or you're doing this, or you're losing people or whatever. It just simply says what needs to be said. So when we rest it, then the mind is just simply um, resting in itself, because it's awakened to just this very moment is mind. It isn't a present moment of this moment, but the mind is capable of pulling in all past, present, and future without attaching to any and to saying. So my response to you is not only for this present moment, but it's in acknowledgement of what you've practiced before and how you will practice, and trying to refine your practice in this moment so that you can benefit and awaken, have a very profound awakening. So the thing is that it is following in this way. So the mind perfectly functions without the self. If the self is involved, then it'll say, Gilbert, you have to say something very wise or very clever or whatever. The mind is not contrived in that way. It simply is um, um, fulfilling the vows of delivering sentient beings. So it comes along and just kind of like wipes off the obstructions of that are there, and saying, touch this, see how this works. Just let mind rest. the practice, this exercise I gave you, speaks volumes. And in terms of just resting the mind, having no thought. And when it doesn't have thought, it still functions. It functions perfectly, but it doesn't need you to be there. You still can go home to your family and you don't have to say, oh, don't talk to me. I don't know you, you know. But mom, you know, make me food or whatever it is, you know. Whoever's there, pay attention to me. I don't see you. It isn't in this kind of a way. It just sees the things as they are, clearly manifesting and understanding. And it is more mindful of what it does by body, speech, and mind from then on. This is resting the mind. So it rests, it doesn't manufacture things it needs to do based on the ego. No. What I think you need is like a new pair of shoes, and you need this, or you need a diamond necklace, and it doesn't work in that way. It works perfectly in accordance with what needs to be there. Just simply is there that follows a function. This is resting the mind, and it works in that way. So that just takes time to kind of let it sink in to rest. But the more you keep coming back to resting the mind, in every moment, in everything that you do, you rest the mind. So right now, I'm resting from having breakfast. And before that, when I was having breakfast, I was resting from getting ready to come here. And getting ready to come here, I'm resting from sleeping. Every moment I'm resting. Or I should say mind is resting. And so it changes things because you come, sometimes I refer to it as a California cool. You know, the people on the East Coast, you guys are, to us, you're like this, you know, especially the people from New York and ride the subway every day, you know, with the 1,000-mile stare. And if you're from California and you go on the subway, you know, you smile at people. Here they go, why are you smiling? Don't smile at me. Don't look at me. I don't see you. No, but I'm kind of over romanticizing California, but there's a coolness that when I say cool, it's not like temperature, just like being very mellow, very easy, smiling at people. You know, some places when you smile at them, they want to beat you up. They don't trust you. Why are you? Are you gay, or are you this way, or what? Why are you smiling at me? You know, I don't know you, but I know you. And so this is resting the mind. Why not? Even if it's a momentary passing on the sidewalk, you're resting the mind. You smile. Why? Because you're making a connection, creating an affinity to fulfill our vows. I vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings before I am delivered. Well, you can't do that if you're always you know, like frowning at people or looking at them and discriminating. Then how are you going to do that? Once one of my students, he had said, I go to work, you know, the people at work, they always talk nonsense. They're always talking about stupid things and about partying or drinking or whatever. So I don't want to listen to them. So I just put on my headphones and I listen to Master Shen Yang's lectures. No. And he says, what do you think of my practice? And I said, your practice, no, if you can't deliver the people that work with you or next to you all the time, how can you deliver others? You know, you can't be that way because this person is not resting in the present moment. They are just discriminating. These ignorant fools, they don't know what I know. I know Master Shen Yun. I know his wisdom. No, you don't know his wisdom. You know a book learning, but you cannot call yourself his student in this way. That's not what he taught. He taught this wisdom and compassion and resting. So we're constantly resting. This is what's called resting. Yes.
I have another question. I like the word awakening very much, but I want to split it more. If awakening means awakening from where or from what to what? That is one question. Who is awakening? Is mine, is my ego, or who is exercising awakening?
Yes, your question is a good question. It naturally arises at this time. It is one when you're asking, what is what? And this is something that I was talking about last night of Master Hui Ning. And Master Hui Ning said this, that this will answer your question, but to you, it won't answer your question. But Master Hui Ning said that the no is the no of what. There's no what. And you go, what? No, there's no what. What? I just told you there's no what. What? Because that which wants to try to understand is the ego. But the ego, there's no ego to ask the question, what? It's just mind. Awakening is that there's no what, there's no duality there. In order to ask the question, there has to be a duality. But in the ultimate, there's just mind. There's not mind and ego. It's just mind. That's why when I say rest your mind, you already have it. There is not the ego. And then what was your second part of your question?
Yeah, one is awakening from what to what, and number two is who or what is awakening? Is it my mind awakening or my ego awakening?
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah.
Again, so when we look at your question, we have to look at the structure of your question. It contains a fallacy of a presumption that there is a subject and an object, that awakening is something that happens to a subject that you will become awakened. You cannot become awakened. Mind is already awakened. So the awakening is to realize that originally there's no what. Originally there's no you. You are a projection. But your original mind is incredibly precious and incredibly powerful. What Master Han Shan said, you have to derive power from your own power, from your intrinsic power, because you have mind. How powerful is mind? It's all created by the mind. Everything is created by the mind. That's how powerful it is. Irregardless of where you go, you take the old story of the from the China, the Shen Kong, the Monkey King. You know the story.
Yeah.
So how do you say his name?
Sun Wukong.
Sun Wukong. So when you say the Monkey King, he goes out far into the universe to try to lose the Buddha, but the Buddha was there. No matter where he goes, the Buddha's there, well before him. And so it is there that we see. There was a story of this old monk. He had come back from lectures in the town, and he was accompanied by his young disciple, this young little pusa, and being an old monk, when you get older, more people will understand this. You may have to pee before you get to wherever you know there's somewhere to pee. So So they were walking back to the temple, and they were going down a pathway that had statues of the different Buddhas there. And the monk had to go. So he went over by the side of one of the statues and started peeing. And the young monk, he was so shocked. Shifu, Shifu, you're peeing right by the Buddha statue. How can you do that? And, the master, it was either that or he was going to wet his robe, before he could get to a bathroom. And he just looked back at him and said, show me where the Buddha's not, and there I'll pee. It is in this way that we see that everything is the Buddha mind. And so as we begin to look at this doctrinally, it begins to make sense. And when we understand this, that everything is created by the mind, even the ego that you have is created by the mind. You do not mistake the ego for your original mind. So when we say rest the mind, we move away from the confusion of the mind. One last saying for you, and there's a saying that sages return consciousness to mind. So sages return consciousness to mind. Fools turn mind into consciousness. Fools turn mind into consciousness. Now it's coming in, right?
Yeah.
Good. Good. The sages return consciousness to mind. Okay. Fools turn mind into consciousness. The consciousness is created by the mind. So it's an inverted view. The view of a sage, or let's say a bodhisattva or somebody wise, is that all of this consciousness belongs to mind. That's the Yogacara school, consciousness only or mind only school. So it's the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your generous time and this
A little louder.
practice. So my question was actually, a question on top of a question that was already asked. You said there's no question of what. So in order to return the consciousness to mind, we still have to ask a question.
Yeah, so she's talking about that. I said there's no what of what, but she says, but in order to return consciousness to mind, we still have to ask a question. It's a process in terms of like poison fighting poison. So we use it to redirect the mind to its ultimate source, which is mind. And so when we understand there's no subject and object, simply in that, the question is resolved. If we cling to the idea of holding it in this way, it doesn't quite work, because we still are asking the question in duality. So it's different. It's very interesting. I wish I had the time to talk to you about, but in the Vimalakirti Sutra, Vimalakirti was a very accomplished practitioner, a layperson, and he came upon Ananda, one of the Buddha's best disciples, as he was meditating under a tree, and he was asking him, "What are you doing, Venerable Ananda?" And he says, "I am sitting in repose," meaning I'm sitting like in rest. And Vimalakirti said, "This is not how you do this. You do this by helping people, by doing this." And he was showing how mind is demonstrated moment to moment in repose. So not simply just you sit to meditate to try to get rid of self, or to rest, but it's what you do when you get off the cushion. And so this demonstration answers the question, which is that there is no question to answer. It is just simply in this way. And we demonstrate it moment to moment. And then there will be an awakening there, because when one begins to practice in a selfless manner, then we understand that the question or the questioner is an extra cherry on top. It doesn't get you through because you cannot know the answer. That's why they'll say, but I don't understand. And the master would say, you will never understand, because there's no what. There is not a subject object. There is not somebody asking the question. It is the awakening to, it is just mine, to the thusness of mind. And it's letting go of that. That's why the Shurangama Sutra is so incredibly deep, but throughout the whole Shurangama Sutra, it is pointing to mind and pointing to what's not mind, that it cannot be answered in that way. It is simply what this gentleman was saying is an awakening. What is awakening, going back to his question, is that the mind awakens to its own nature, that it's like walking around and it opens its eyes and said, not until right now, I notice that my nostrils point downward. It was right there, but it couldn't be seen because the ego blinds the mind, obstructs it. But when it no longer presents an obstruction, then one sees the mind is just mind. There is no one there. There's no person there to do that. No subject and object. So even though we ask the questions, we ask until we realize there's no one to ask the question. So this is sitting in repose or acting in repose. Repose meaning very comfortable, very, very at ease. Okay. So these are naturally produced questions. They're very good. You had a question, man.
My question has to do with when you, oh, thanks. My question, I'm not sure who this is. Okay. My question has to do with putting into a practice meditation when we, as you were saying, get off the mat in our daily lives. Is it possible, and I'm new to this, is it possible to develop a mind that is so rested that we establish a level of natural, comfortable equanimity within ourselves that allows us not to respond in kind when we are faced with the normal types of, say, unpleasantness, aggression, rudeness, and such that we might face in our daily lives. Is it possible when that happens, instead of feeling, for example, even a physical reaction, heart beating, tension, let alone the urge to respond, is it possible somehow to have ingrained within ourselves through the meditation this, peacefulness, calmness, so that we're not reactive or responding?
Allow me to be cheeky and respond from your own Christian doctrine. Does it not say that to turn the other cheek?
Absolutely, it says to turn, it absolutely says to turn the other cheek. And that is something that is so, of course, essential to do if you want to be, I guess, a vehicle of peace, or however you want to term it. But what I guess I'm speaking personally, what I find challenging is not to have some level. It may not be a verbal level. I may not be actually taking the bait, let's say, but I may within myself still feel and do the tension, the stress that comes about. And I would like to know if it's possible through concerted, through a serious practice of meditation, is it possible not to have that, to be just calm?
Yes. Yes. It takes practice. It takes practice, and that kind of compassion, of understanding and forgiving those that appear to be transgressors towards us, that want to cause us harm, or ridicule us or humiliate us or whatever they do, steal from us, physically harm us or whatever. It's not easy. It's very, very hard. But in your religion, as well as in Buddhism, you're pointing to something that's very essential, very, very deep and very profound, and goes to the heart of our practice. And so yes, it can be, but it may not be all the time. Somebody still may be able to push your buttons, but sometimes you can even overcome that. And it's not easy. Sometimes I do that and I remember somebody did something and I'm, about to give them some kind of a, and instead I pull it back and I then, vow to do better, to practice better and keep practicing in that way. And little by little, those kinds of times are less than they were before. And it's just something that taking a higher road is something, a pure road where we do that isn't the same in Jesus Christ when he's, we talked about that, that for forgiving those that for what they did. This is a very high level of practice, a very high level of forgiveness and understanding that we have to reach. And so Buddhism isn't the sole province of this kind of a compassion. So you take this and you practice it. Again, not easy because there's people that can cause you problems, and everybody has somebody along those lines, and sometimes it's very tough. One lady went to Master Shen Yang once, and she was saying that I have a problem with my husband because he's always uh, bugging me and ridiculing me and stuff. And Master Shen Yang said, "That's good news." And she went, "What?" He says, "That's good news." And she said, "Did you hear what I said? He's like bugging me and torturing me all the time, not physically, but mentally." And he says, "That's good news because not everybody has a petty tyrant that they can practice daily with." And that was something very amazing. It was something really, really incredible to hear that. It doesn't mean that if you're in a relationship where there's domestic violence, one should stay in it. But in terms of just daily being bugged, it's switching it around to say, if I can endure this, I can do it. Okay, so we will stop now so you can have some lunch, and then hopefully some of you or most of you can come back, and we'll continue on with all of this in the afternoon. So join palm and bow. Thank you. Oh, one last thing is that at the break, I have a Monday night class that starts at 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and I do lectures, and you can attend those or you can see them online. I have close to 300 videos now online, and you can pick and choose there or come in and ask questions. So you're that, as well as I have a forum which I post things daily and people post questions and I respond to them. So you can ask one of the people how to connect to that, or we can try to find a way to put it down so you can copy it or take a photo of it. So you're all welcome. Okay.